All right, I call this one The Far Right as the Logical and Inevitable Outcome, featuring Andrew Torba. This is News from 5D. I'm Otis 5D.
News from 5D with Otis 5D.
I literally can't believe I'm streaming this to YouTube. This is why it's taken me this long to start streaming all my videos to YouTube, is because eventually I knew I was going to start making videos like this and they would be going on YouTube. And it's like, I don't know how long I will last on YouTube. And I know for a fact that whatever sliver of an audience from my previous days is still watching, those that at least a few of them are going to be like, so to you, the few, the proud tick poppers who remain and are not like, yeah, dude, I'm with you. This is why I tried to tell you guys, like, bro, it's all over. It's all over, son. It is all effing over. So anyway, Andrew Torba, Based Torba, follow him on Twitter. He says, I'm white-pilled about the emergent tech counter-elite because all these guys are rapidly outgrowing their libertarian mindsets, as many of us did many, many years ago, and we all know what follows. It isn't liberalism. It isn't conservatism. I'm going to explain all of this because I have a feeling that this is above a lot of people's pay grades. The quote far right, quote, important context there, the quote far right is the only logical and inevitable outcome if they are honest with themselves about the problems we face and the necessary solutions. That they are all being influenced and pushed in that direction on a daily basis by all of us on this platform, meaning Twitter, is only accelerating that transformation. I could not agree more with this tweet. So let me just say that point blank period here. Dude, you know what I need? I need like a turbo zoom. I almost want to pause this video and make the turbo zoom right now where it goes super close and it's like point blank period. I agree with this tweet. So cancel me now, get it fucking over with, and move on with your life. Shoo. Get the fuck out of here. So, I'm white-pilled about the emergent tech counter-elite. So what that means is that the current elite in the Western countries is, it's the uniparty. It's the political class. It's the Washington, D.C. lobbyists. It's the deep state. It's just the bullshit. It's Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink of BlackRock, J.P. Morgan, et cetera. It's just it's the most horrible people on planet Earth. Steve Mnuchin, all these people. And so the emergent tech counter-elite is Elon, it's Peter Thiel, it's David Sachs, it's Mark Andreessen, it's Naval and Balaji, it's Vivek Ramaswamy, it's J.D. Vance, and so the thesis here is that these guys have fundamentally been libertarians. That's kind of the tech bro thing, is to be a libertarian. It's we'll just code our way out of this mess. Government, just get out of the way. You take care of the roads and the national defense and then leave us alone, right? That's the libertarian mindset, and for reasons that I just don't want to go into in this video, it's very common that people eventually feel that they grow out of that mindset. I have a lot of friends that are libertarian, and bless their hearts, and they're very sweet people, and I'm not even saying that this is right and they are wrong, but it is very common that people grow out of this as they start to see the difficulty of a tragedy of the commons that this mindset can lead to, because it's hey, everything will just work out with the free market, and then you get the San Francisco dystopia. And they have responses to this, okay? They it's not like these are dumb people, but a lot of people find that those responses kind of fall short when thinking about putting them into practice. So anyway, blah 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 blah. So they're rapidly outgrowing their libertarian mindset, and we all know what follows. This is what's important. They're not going to turn into liberals because they see that wokeness is basically, communism by any other name that smells as genocidal, and it's not conservatism. Conservatism is, I always prefer to say conservatism. I don't like this conservatism, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Conservatism is like the Bush family, like Dick Cheney, Mitt Romney, like John McCain. I mean, these are just like horribly disgusting people that are, they're like the country. They're the reason that people hate Republicans. They're like these smug bankers and shit, and like hedge fund people that are free market, and they wear suits, and they're all fucking like above average. Paul Ryan, like they're above average intelligence, but they're just so like smarmy and unlikable, and they're so uncool. They're like, it's almost like their defining characteristic is their uncoolness, their squareness, if you will. So, like, that's not what's coming, right? So what's left is what is now called far right, and it's super debatable as to like what the far right even means. I mean, you have Elon Musk tweeting things that like 70% of the political spectrum is called far right, and then 28% is called liberal, and then 2% is called far left, right? Where it's insane, right? So far right is the only logical and inevitable outcome if they are honest with themselves about the problems we face and the necessary solutions. So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's use the example of like Singapore. So the British brought opium into Asia, and that opium got into Singapore in the early days of Singapore. It might have even been before Singapore was like a nation, when it was either part of Malaysia or this weird little city-state before like a British colony prior to the formation of the Federation of Malaysia. But either way, it was like overrun with opium, and you associate opium with like Chinese people, right? Well, Singapore is like super Chinese, so you have all these opium addicts, and because of that experience, Mr. Base Lee Kuan Yew, he created these super strict drug penalties to like keep the fucking opium out, where you just execute the drug dealers, right? And an interesting factoid is that Singapore, I think, executes on average like 6 or 8 drug dealers per year. And San Francisco has had 800 fentanyl deaths this year, right? So is executing 6 or 8 people to prevent 800 deaths of innocent people, is it really evil? Like, is it really far right? Is it really totalitarian? So the point is that this is the kind of solution, right? So the far right is the only logical and inevitable outcome if they are honest with themselves about the problems we face and the necessary solutions. So the necessary solutions that are involved to the problems we face are things like executing drug dealers, right? Like that absolutely has to be on the table, right? Or drug smugglers, or human traffickers, or I don't know, like I don't know what you like. I'm certainly not going to say executing illegal immigrants, but like I don't know what the version of that is. Like I don't know what being super harsh is with illegal immigrants. Maybe you cane them or something. I genuinely don't know. But the point is that the Western countries are facing like major issues, and in the same way that Singapore was facing major issues, and those issues were solved with extreme solutions like executing people that broke laws. And the only way, theoretically, that the problems that are so vast and so deep inside the United States, can get solved are with these kinds of extreme measures, because everything else is just, what do they call it? Like, what do they call it? Like moving deck chairs on the Titanic or something? I think that's what they call it. So anyway, then Torba is saying that all these tech counter elites, they're all on Twitter. They all spend all day on Twitter, and on Twitter, they are being influenced by people like Andrew Torba and the other far right influencers, and are being pushed in that direction, which is accelerating this transformation. And Andrew Torba is saying that he is white-pilled about this. And yeah, you know, there's this whole meme of a red Caesar, meaning like someone who comes along and is what you know, retard woke leftists think Trump is. You know, Trump is basically like a Democrat in Republican clothing or something. If you look at, you know, policy situations, I mean, that's debatable, but it's certainly, the point is that it's debatable. Like, you can absolutely debate the point I just made, meaning you can debate for it, is what I'm saying. Whereas a red Caesar would be somebody who's like Lee Kuan Yew, where he's like, okay, this is what's going down. We're going to execute these people. We're going to cane these people. Like, this is now fully against the law. You do this, you get 30 years in jail, right? You know, like, for instance, what would be something? It's like you block traffic or something for a protest. You get 10 years in jail, right? You do. And there's not, this is not to say that like this all works out, because these kind of like authoritarian, totalitarian experiments, even if they're designed to promote the free market and to promote general prosperity and the general well-being and quality of life, some people are definitely going to get asked out from it. But, you know, even if you just take the game theory of the fact that protests are used by America as foreign subversion against other countries, then foreign countries can absolutely use protests to subvert the U.S. So things are really like, they're just not simple. And I think that's about all I have to say about this. It's not like I have the answers. It's just, this is one of my most favorite. I'm so excited about making this video because this is one of my most favorite topics to discuss, because it's so prickly. It's so like people are drawn to it and drawn away from it, and they want to agree, and they want to like angrily disagree and say that anyone who agrees with this is like a Nazi, fascist, white supremacist, homophobe, trans, blah, blah, blah. But either way, like, there's a lot of points, because I would personally, I love people who totally disagree with this, and they give me reasons that this is very stupid, like that this is very naive and childish, and they actually have good arguments that I'm like, I don't actually have a good response to what they're saying. I need to rethink what I think. And that's really what I'm looking for. That's like that's the community I want to foster. That's the spirit in which I make these videos, is like, hey, let's talk about the real shit and really go there and see what's what. And I feel like that's so under-indexed on social media that I'm like chomping at the bit to, you know, to be a part of it, to be that dude, if you will. So anyway, thanks if you've made it this, what do I say now? So if you like the video, the best thing you can do to help me is find anywhere from 1 second to 1 minute that you think is good, and leave a comment saying the timestamp of that 1 second to 1 minute. And that'll help me clip it and bring it to short form video and grow the channel. And it's much appreciated. And otherwise, go fuck yourself. Peace.
Otis5D.xyz.
Go fuck yourself.